The royal family is about to be hit with one of their biggest scandals, and the biggest blow is going to be from none other than who used to be dubbed as Fergie.
And then you've got to come to terms with the fairy tale. Now, it's not a fairy tale, it's real life in there, well, so to speak. It's real life.
Why is the press and the palace refusing to look or comment or report on Meghan Markle's links to the same individual, and most importantly, her relationship, her close personal relationship with Prince Andrew?
The royal family stands on the precipice of one of its most explosive scandals in decades. And the catalyst? None other than Sarah Ferguson, affectionately known as Fergie.
What a terrible, terrible thing to do to people who covered up for them. And they're so stupid because they don't realize that the royal family, as much as they may have on the royal family has on.
The question that haunts Buckingham Palace. Why do the press and palace gatekeepers refuse to acknowledge or investigate Meghan Markle's connections to the same controversial figure? More intriguingly, what about her close personal relationship with Prince Andrew? In just 5 seconds, Fergie managed to detonate a bombshell that shook the monarchy more violently than Meghan's entire Netflix documentary series ever could. This was a betrayal of those who had protected them for years, and what makes it more devastating is their apparent blindness to the palace's arsenal of secrets.
Formerly known as Prince Andrew, and the still known Duchess of Sussex, as she's so fond of ordering people to report to her. This is interesting because I don't understand.
The royal family, despite whatever leverage others may hold, possesses far more damaging information than anyone realizes. Picture the scene. Meghan Markle, immaculately styled beneath her signature hat, projecting an image of absolute composure and control, as if the entire world exists in her palm. Then Sarah Ferguson speaks, and instantly, the palace erupts into chaotic damage control behind those ancient doors.
And Rachel Meghan Markle, who's still a duchess. And it's going to be shocking because, of course, who else is conducting this horrible, horrible interview? None other than Oprah Winfrey.
This wasn't the polite murmuring over afternoon Earl Grey tea. This was full-scale panic mode. Fergie casually drops her revelation. Meghan was Andrew's first client. The room falls into stunned silence. Those who believe Meghan Markle simply stumbled into royal circles by fortunate coincidence are profoundly mistaken. She was strategically introduced to Prince Harry by Sarah Ferguson, a woman who has mastered the intricate game of influence and scandal over decades. Initially, the introduction appeared innocent.
When she walked in, it's the other way around. They announce lesser people to the royal, they don't announce the royal to lesser people. And I say lesser people.
Fergie leaning in with her signature mischievous smirk, perhaps a playful nudge, maybe a lighthearted joke about the royal social circuit. But then a sharp reporter caught the words that would ignite everything. Meghan was Andrew's first client. In that instant, the room transformed into a crisis center. Let's examine the mechanics of this revelation. The palace operates as a sophisticated machine built upon centuries of reputation management, meticulous image crafting, and strategically controlled information leaks.
Angry that the proper royals don't want to grant her an interview. She's just angry. She's just angry that Princess Diana
A single misstep can obliterate careers, destroy reputations, and shatter royal marriages. Fergie isn't just any royal figure. She's the duchess who survived toe-sucking scandals, devastating financial meltdowns, and relentless public humiliation.
Okay, you always announce the lower rank to the higher rank people, and Meghan Markle clearly considers herself super.
She understands exactly how the system works. By casually dropping that single line, she triggered a chain reaction that would force Harry and Meghan into hiding, while sending the palace into frantic scrambling mode. But why does this sting so profoundly? Because the insinuation carries enormous weight.
Why is the press so quiet? Why is the palace so determined to keep this under wraps? Because the only reason why the press is not going nuclear on
this wasn't casual small talk about networking or Hollywood parties. Calling Meghan Andrew's first client isn't throwaway commentary. It's the type of phrase that instantly rewrites public perception. Suddenly, Meghan transforms from simply being a Hollywood actress who married a prince into someone connected to the palace's most infamous and controversial figure.
Relationship with Karina Shuliak and Jeffrey Epstein is because the Buckingham Palace are still covering for them. And what will it take? Will it take something to be exposed that is so terrible?
The tabloids erupted into overdrive. Social media exploded globally. Meghan's yacht days began trending worldwide. Memes proliferated. Everyone theorized the most scandalous scenarios imaginable.
She's angry that the Queen, rejected her. She was so close during Meghan's interview, but so far away. It was made very clear to her that she was not welcome.
And the audacity of Fergie. That's what truly devastates. This wasn't some random whisper exchanged in a shadowy corner. This was a calculated strategic play. She understands precisely how to weaponize curiosity. She dropped her hint, smiled as if sharing an inside joke with everyone present, then walked away, leaving absolute chaos in her wake.
Actually talk about it? The pictures are there. We can all see them. Why isn't anybody questioning this? Karina Shuliak was Jeffrey Epstein's last known.
Why remains the press so eerily quiet? Why is the palace so desperately determined to keep this buried? Because Prince Harry reportedly went into immediate shock. Palace aides scrambled frantically, making desperate calls, attempting to stay ahead of a story that had already spiraled beyond their control.
A thorn in her backside ever since. And I guess she didn't learn from the Harry and Meghan backfiring and the blowback that she got, because she's gone at it again. What is wrong with her?
Meanwhile, Meghan's team activated full damage control protocols, reviewing everything from potential legal action to comprehensive media strategy. But here's the most delicious element. Fergie neither confirmed nor denied anything. She left it dangling, suspended in speculation.
She is on record saying that the only times she flew on a plane, went on a yacht, or whatever was...
That's classic Ferguson methodology. Say just enough to ignite the gossip firestorm, but leave everyone guessing endlessly. In one perfectly crafted line, she managed to humiliate the palace, terrify Meghan, and remind the world that she remains a formidable force.
Her targets now, and what she's willing to disclose, and how far she will go just to get revenge with Meghan. Let's get into this, beautiful people.
You didn't marry to get the fairy tale. You married a man.
One smirk, one phrase, one casual revelation, and suddenly the entire royal world descended into absolute chaos. Once Fergie detonated her bombshell about Meghan being Andrew's first client, the rumor mill didn't just accelerate, it exploded. Social media platforms, tabloids, and gossip forums didn't merely catch fire, they erupted into infernos.
In there.
Okay. So when you moved into the palace, were you surprised? I mean, the way you described your little, as you describe it in the book, I'm thinking it's a little...
The phrase, Meghan's yacht days, spread with wildfire velocity. Within hours, journalists were scrambling desperately, fans were constructing elaborate theories, and palace aides were frantically whispering behind closed doors, attempting to contain a storm that had already exploded far beyond any hope of control. This wasn't simply a story anymore. It had transformed into a full-blown crisis, one that threatened to completely rewrite Meghan Markle's carefully curated public image. What made this so explosively dangerous wasn't the accusation itself, it was the source.
And Jeffrey Epstein. And here we have Rachel Meghan Markle parading on a yacht since 2014, at the very least that these pictures emerged there.
Can you just tell them the truth?
Sarah Ferguson isn't some random commentator speculating from the sidelines. She's family. She intimately knows the palace. She knows all the players. And she understands exactly how to wield information like a precision weapon. The insinuation that Meghan might have mingled within Andrew's controversial circles on luxury yachts wasn't merely gossip. It became a narrative that instantly demanded global attention. Add Hollywood to this volatile mix, where ambition, networking, and image building constitute survival itself, and suddenly Meghan's past resembled a powder keg awaiting its spark.
Side for any tourist that's looking at Buckingham Palace, all the windows have to be only open only a certain amount, so they all are in line. And so, of course, I'd come in and fling open all the windows. No, that was wrong, you know.
Insiders whispered about lavish yacht parties, elite gatherings, and strategic networking disguised as innocent socializing. Some labeled it ambitious entrepreneurship. Others called it reckless. Regardless, the implication alone proved sufficient to set the palace perpetually on edge. Harry reportedly entered immediate panic mode. Aides scrambled to monitor social media constantly.
No, that wasn't my bedroom, no.
What is this? Okay, because that's how we picture Buckingham Palace.
But for us,
while legal teams quietly prepared defensive statements. Meanwhile, the public developed a new obsession, imagining Meghan, the Hollywood star transformed into Duchess, rubbing elbows with one of the most notorious figures within the royal sphere. And let's not overlook the timing. Meghan's every move already existed under microscopic scrutiny, from red carpets to charity galas. Now, with this rumor floating openly, every appearance, every photograph, every comment faced intense dissection. The palace, experts in narrative control for centuries, suddenly found themselves desperately on the defensive.
a race, there was an opportunity, many opportunities, for my family to show some public support. He knows.
Fergie hadn't merely spilled a secret. She had gifted the world a storyline that proved irresistible, scandalous, and utterly impossible to ignore. If you believe Fergie simply blurted something out without thinking, reconsider completely. This was pure strategic genius, a masterclass in chaos management. During a private Mayfair event, surrounded by aristocrats and journalists,
and all the... there we go. Well, that wasn't my bedroom, no.
What is this? Okay, because that's how we picture Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
But for us, for this union and the...
She leaned in conspiratorially, flashed that mischievous grin she's internationally famous for, and casually mentioned, "People forget Meghan's first royal connection wasn't Harry." Casual, playful, delivered almost like a joke. But everyone present understood it wasn't. This was a calculated spark deliberately designed to ignite a media firestorm.
That standing next to the Queen, is that a servant? That's what Harry wrote in his book Spare. At this point in time, I really have to question his mental acuity. How stupid is this man that he actually believes it?
Why did it prove so devastatingly potent? Because it originated from inside the royal circle. Meghan's life had been meticulously documented. Hollywood actress, charity work, duchess, global figure. But Fergie's comment reframed the entire narrative. Suddenly, Meghan's history wasn't merely about ambition and talent. It concerned access, networking, and associations the public had never previously considered. This represented a palace-level scandal waiting to detonate.
Historic moment. Only Harry and Meghan who did invite her. But no, Oprah has been intrigued.
Prince Harry reportedly turned pale. Aides shifted into crisis overdrive, attempting to anticipate media questions, social media reactions, and potential legal implications. Meanwhile, journalists possessed their golden headline, "The actress turned duchess," with connections to one of the monarchy's most controversial figures. Memes, tweets, and hot takes flew faster than champagne could be poured at royal galas.
Well, I think that is great. I mean, so what? The Queen was frugal, which is great for somebody like Fergie who didn't understand that, or Meghan who they don't understand.
Fergie, naturally, neither confirmed nor denied anything, which only intensified the story's heat. This was classic Ferguson methodology. Say precisely enough to become irresistible, but leave everyone perpetually guessing. She had perfected this technique over decades, walking the precarious fine line between confession and chaos. This time, her target wasn't merely Meghan, it was the palace itself.
To believe it, because Meghan Markle is on record saying that she was very good friends with Eugenie way before she met Harry and Fergie.
The insinuation that Meghan had been a quote-quote girl, mingling within Andrew's circle, proved sufficient to rattle centuries of carefully maintained royal decorum. By evening's end, the rumor wasn't merely alive, it was thriving explosively. Palace corridors whispered nervously, lawyers reviewed frantically, journalists speculated endlessly, and the public devoured every microscopic detail. One line, One smirk, one perfectly timed comment, and Fergie had pulled the rug completely out from under the monarchy's carefully controlled image.
What it is to struggle, or I'm not saying that the queen did, but they don't understand that the queen grew up or was raised, in spite of the fact that she was raised in a castle, she did see.
Now we arrive at the element that truly set tongues wagging uncontrollably. Meghan allegedly wasn't simply a Hollywood star attempting to network professionally. She was a yacht girl, lavish parties, elite gatherings, floating escapes off the Mediterranean coast. These weren't merely social events. They represented power plays, strategic introductions, and sometimes deals sealed during whispered conversations over expensive champagne. The idea that Meghan, now a duchess, had once navigated these elite, decadent worlds added an entirely new layer of intrigue to her story. Friends and insiders from her Hollywood days describe her as ambitious, calculated, and fearless.
That when she arrived here in Toronto at the end of 2011 or time in 2011, immediately I saw her.
She could effortlessly charm producers, network with business moguls, and move through high society with an ease few could match. The yacht world allegedly served as just another playground where she perfected that skill, seamlessly blending glamour with calculated strategy. Fergie's words reframed that entire past, transforming it from admirable ambition into scandal, from professional networking into a perceived royal threat.
Meghan and Fergie, they don't understand the concept of, not being ostentatious, not living beyond their means, because that's what really got.
The palace entered crisis mode. Social media exploded globally. Journalists became obsessed. The phrase Meghan's yacht days evolved into shorthand for speculation, rumor, and intrigue. Every photograph, every public appearance, every whispered conversation about her Hollywood or royal life now faced examination for potential connections to Andrew's controversial circles. And Harry, furious, frustrated, and reportedly desperately trying to navigate this storm without making situations worse. Here's the fascinating element. No one definitively knows the complete truth. Was it networking, ambition, or something else entirely? Ultimately, it doesn't matter.
She didn't want to let go of being a royal, and she wanted to live the life of a billionaire. And the same thing is happening right now to Meghan Markle. We have Harry who's coming here to Toronto. I've been trying to get passes to go to where he is, but believe it or not, they are.
Fergie had already shifted public perception irrevocably. Meghan wasn't merely a duchess anymore. She had become a character in a story involving scandal, whispers, and royal intrigue. And the world, naturally, was consuming it voraciously, champagne glass in hand, eagerly anticipating the next twist. Before Meghan Markle ever set foot in the royal palace, she was a Hollywood player. And let's be brutally honest, Hollywood is no joke. It chews up the ambitious and spits them out faster than you can say, red carpet. Meghan wasn't just any actress. She was calculated, charming, and ruthless when it came to networking. Red carpet events, strategic charity galas, networking gold mines. Small acting roles? The perfect training ground to meet movers, shakers, and occasionally people with royal angles.
Not allowing anybody there. It goes to show, right? I hope Canadians we're not paying for the security, because it's going to be very upsetting, and I will try and go.
Every smile, every handshake, every photograph represented another brick in her carefully constructed image. Now mix in yachts, exclusive parties, and elite social circles, and you've created a recipe for royal gossip heaven. Sources suggest Meghan wasn't shy about attending gatherings where the rich, the powerful, and yes, the royals, notorious acquaintances mingled freely.
Use some of the policemen if I can. But yes, so we have Fergie, and we have Oprah, and we have Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle was very blatant, and she said that she had met Fergie way back.
She moved seamlessly, blending ambition with allure, leaving impressions that could open doors and sometimes, according to whispers, ignite rumors that would follow her for life. Some called it savvy, some called it audacious. Others whispered darker things. Was she networking, flirting, playing a long game? The lines blurred considerably, but the result was crystal clear. She made herself absolutely unforgettable.
See, and then we have Fergie, who has been ousted, and there's already articles saying that the king will rue the day. He will rue the day that he refused to succumb.
This was the world Fergie alluded to when she dropped her bombshell. By linking Meghan's Hollywood rise to Andrew's controversial social circles, Ferguson didn't just gossip. She reframed Meghan's entire history. The actress-turned-duchess suddenly became someone who existed in multiple worlds simultaneously: Hollywood ambition, royal duty, and elite networking circles, where whispers could destroy reputations overnight. For the palace, it was a nightmare scenario. Every media outlet, every blogger, every Twitter thread could spin the narrative in seconds.
Because she's been part of a lot of shady things involving Andrew, Camilla, and Prince Charles. And even if there weren't any really outlandish stuff, she is...
Meghan's past wasn't just a story. It was a weapon. And Fergie, with that mischievous grin, knew exactly how to aim it. By connecting the dots, even vaguely, between Meghan's pre-royal life and Andrew's infamous circles, she created a storyline that journalists and tabloids absolutely couldn't resist.
Marcus Anderson came and recruited her again and introduced her to everybody.
And the drama doesn't stop there. Hollywood isn't forgiving, and neither is the royal public. The world began dissecting her every move. Red carpet photos, party appearances, charity events. Suddenly, Meghan's past became headline news, not her present achievements. She wasn't just the Duchess of Sussex anymore. She was the woman at the center of a scandal that combined Hollywood glamour, yacht parties, and royal intrigue. And the palace? Well, they were scrambling desperately to contain a storm that had already gone completely global.
Humble opinion. I am going to tell you, people are saying it doesn't matter that she talks or what she says. Actually, it does. I told you that about 3 or 4 days ago. I went to the Scotiabank.
Let's not sugarcoat it. When Prince Andrew's name enters any conversation, things get messy fast. And Fergie's comment about Meghan being his first client, nuclear. Andrew, already a figure mired in controversy for decades, became the lens through which Meghan's past was now examined. Yachts, private parties, and elite social gatherings weren't just casual fun. They represented a world where influence, favors, and whispers mattered more than anything else.
Really, because she couldn't really come out and say they were racist towards me. But this woman, who was a manager at a major bank here in Toronto, was literally bad-mouthing the royal family, especially calling them racist and all kinds of things.
Meghan allegedly walked right into that world, mixing ambition with opportunity. Now, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew's associations with Epstein are infamous. While there's no concrete evidence linking Meghan to anything illegal, her presence in overlapping elite social circles suddenly raised eyebrows everywhere. Pictures resurfaced, sightings were re-examined, and unnamed sources began emerging, creating an irresistible narrative for tabloids. Every yacht party, every red carpet handshake, every charity gala became a potential connection in the public imagination.
Fergie, because Fergie has known for a while that her time was up. Meghan is angry because now she gets an ally, and they both are.
And here's the thing. Perception matters far more than proof in the royal world. Whether Meghan actually attended these parties for networking, fun, or strategy, the mere suggestion created a full-blown scandal. The palace was suddenly forced to operate in permanent crisis mode, monitoring media constantly, consulting legal teams around the clock, and recalibrating communications. Every silence from Meghan fueled more speculation. Every appearance carried the weight of unanswered questions.
Numbers, which is true to an extent, but not really when they're both liars. And whatever it is that they have to say.
For journalists and the public, the story was absolutely irresistible. Hollywood ambition, yacht parties, and royal intrigue, a perfect storm. Fergie's casual phrasing, delivered with that sly grin, had tied Meghan to the most controversial circles of the monarchy. The palace couldn't contain it. The tabloids couldn't resist it. And social media went into absolute overdrive. The term Meghan's Yacht Days became shorthand for scandal, mystery, and high-stakes drama.
In the case of Fergie, it's a little bit more serious because Fergie has nothing to lose. Fergie wants to scorch the earth with.
Meanwhile, Harry reportedly felt the sting personally. The rumor humiliated him publicly, threatened their brand, and reminded him that in the royal family, secrets have a way of surfacing when you least expect it. Meghan's Hollywood past, once a point of pride, had now become ammunition for intrigue, and the world was watching every move.
The title. That is a cautionary tale for Harry, the idiot, who doesn't understand.
Once Fergie's words leaked, the media went into a feeding frenzy. Newspapers, gossip blogs, Instagram threads. None could resist. The phrase Meghan's yacht days became shorthand for intrigue, scandal, and gossip across the globe. Every editor wanted a piece. Every journalist wanted an angle. And every social media user wanted a meme.
It's just gonna blow his father, Camilla, Catherine, and William, because she blames Prince William and Princess Catherine for her.
The palace's PR machine, usually smooth and disciplined, suddenly felt like a toddler trying to plug a fire hose with their fingers. Journalists pieced together Meghan's Hollywood timeline. Small roles, red carpets, charity galas, and the whispered yacht parties Fergie hinted at. They didn't have proof, but it didn't matter. In the royal world, insinuation carries more weight than confirmation. Memes, speculative threads, and headline-hungry newsrooms turned Meghan into the protagonist of a story she didn't script.
Doesn't take any accountability for the fact that it is her behavior that got her ousted, that she brought Jeffrey Epstein into that idiot form.
Meanwhile, Fergie stayed perfectly ambiguous. She didn't confirm, she didn't deny. She smiled knowingly, letting the chaos unfold like a carefully rehearsed play. Classic Ferguson. She knows how to stir the pot without touching the spoon herself. Her smirk was enough to suggest that truth was buried somewhere in the rumor. And that suggestion alone was enough to terrify palace aides, anger Harry, and push Meghan into hiding.
Into the royal family, into everybody, because she is tainted. How many times have I been telling you that?
Desperate to contain the story, the palace tried damage control. Legal teams reviewed every angle. Press advisors drafted statements that never saw the light of day. Every public appearance by Meghan and Harry was dissected and scrutinized as if they were on trial.
Terrible. You can't just leave a little bit of gangrene in somebody's body and hope that it'll stay there.
And social media? It didn't care. Every appearance, every smile, every outfit became fodder for speculation. In one casual sentence, Fergie had created a storm that engulfed Hollywood, London, and beyond. She wasn't just stirring gossip, she was shaping perception. The story wasn't about proof. It was about public imagination, and the public was eating it alive.
What Fergie was. Now it's been reported that her daughters are no longer speaking to her, which I doubt. I highly doubt. But just in case it's being put out there.
Suddenly, Meghan's past, Harry's present, and Andrew's shadow all collided, leaving the palace scrambling to control a narrative that was no longer theirs to control. Prince Andrew has long been a figure of controversy. Once celebrated as a royal hero, he became synonymous with scandal, privilege, and poor judgment. Lavish yachts, high-profile parties, questionable friendships. The man's life has been a magnet for public scrutiny. And now, with Fergie linking Meghan to Andrew, the shadow of his notoriety extended straight into her carefully built life.
Fergie and Oprah sitting down for another tell-all. But what are they going to tell? Meghan?
Former Andrew's infamy added layers of tension to the narrative. The palace, already wary of any association with him, now had Meghan caught in an unexpected web. The rumors about yacht parties, elite gatherings, and whispered connections weren't just idle gossip. They had the potential to reopen old wounds for the monarchy. And Harry? He reportedly went into full-on protective mode. Any public reaction could make things worse, so silence became their weapon.
Can you please? Yeah, you have to tell them what it really happened. Fergie knows how Meghan really met Harry. Fergie knows that.
Journalists and tabloids quickly realized the goldmine they had. Connecting Meghan's past to Andrew created a story that was impossible to ignore. Photos resurfaced, unnamed sources resurfaced, and speculation ran rampant. Suddenly, the Duchess wasn't just the star of Hollywood turned royal, she was linked to the most controversial chapters of the royal family's recent history. And this was exactly the kind of chaos Fergie thrives on. By invoking Andrew's name, she didn't just spark a rumor, She created a scenario that forced the palace to react.
With Andrew, allegedly. Fergie knows a lot about Meghan, but when push comes to shove and they both at the moment need each other
Trust, loyalty, and reputation were all thrown into question. Meghan's silence only amplified the tension. Every public appearance, every photo, every move became a chess piece in a game the palace wasn't entirely in control of. The implication was clear. Meghan, Harry, and Andrew were now bound in a triangle of scandal, perception, and rumor. The palace's carefully maintained image was slipping, and the public was loving every second.
Because it's insane that Meghan and Fergie do see themselves as victims of the royal family rather than...
Fergie's one casual comment had done what no outsider could. She had forced royal history, Hollywood ambition, and yacht gossip into a perfect storm that threatened to make headlines for months. To understand the storm, you need to rewind. Allegedly, Meghan's interactions with elite circles and yacht parties date back to the early 2000s. Small acting roles, charity events, Hollywood networking, everything was part of a carefully crafted narrative of ambition.
Ousted themselves and have made themselves be hated and despised worldwide. They don't see that. They see that it's the royal...
But now, thanks to Fergie, whispers of her presence in Andrew-adjacent spaces have resurfaced. Every photo, every reported sighting, every whispered rumor was being stitched together like a scandalous puzzle. This timeline, real or imagined, gave tabloids endless ammunition. Was Meghan just ambitious, strategic, or something more calculated? The palace didn't get to answer. Fergie had already set the narrative, and the world was filling in the blanks.
Be mind-blowing, and I wonder if Meghan Markle just wants to end the monarchy, but not only that, but she wants to kill everybody because King Charles is rather ill.
By the time Meghan married Harry, public imagination had run wild with speculation about her past. Yacht parties became shorthand for ambition, networking, and whispered secrets. Harry reportedly felt the sting immediately. A scandal involving Andrew's world wasn't just inconvenient, it was humiliating. Meghan, meanwhile, became more private, withdrawing from appearances as whispers of Meghan's yacht days circulated globally. The palace scrambled to control the narrative. But Fergie had already done her job. She had created a timeline in the public's imagination that would keep gossip hungry for years.
A way to repay somebody who gave them so much. Because let's not forget that Fergie and Meghan have a platform and were D-listed. Fergie was a no.
And so the story settled into public consciousness. Meghan Markle, the ambitious Hollywood star, navigated yachts, elite gatherings, and high society before becoming a duchess. Fergie's one casual line had reframed her life, inserted doubt, and created a narrative that was irresistible. The palace could try to contain it, but perception, as always, mattered more than proof. After Fergie's comment went public, Meghan Markle reportedly vanished. And when I say vanished, I mean completely disappeared. No red carpets, no charity galas, no interviews, nothing. Her team went into overdrive, quietly assessing potential legal strategies, media responses, and damage control. Meanwhile, Harry was reportedly fuming, but knew that any outburst would only fuel the fire. The palace, predictably, was on full crisis mode. Every aide glued to their phones, trying to predict the next move in a scandal that had already gone viral.
Their actions that made them infamous, made them disliked, made them completely exposed as liars. They don't understand that it is their life.
The public was obsessed. Social media exploded with theories, memes, and screenshots, all dissecting Meghan's every past move. The phrase Meghan's yacht days became shorthand for intrigue, scandal, and mystery. Every sighting of her prior to the royal wedding, every charity event, Hollywood gala, or yacht party was suddenly scrutinized through the lens of Fergie's comment. And Meghan's silence? Well, that only amplified the drama. In the royal world, silence is a weapon, and Meghan wielded it like a pro, though probably out of necessity. Meanwhile, Harry had to navigate a minefield.
Absolutely has been their downfall. No, it's the royal family. Why? Because they need to blame somebody. And Oprah is going to be...
The rumor was personal, public, and family adjacent. Any wrong word could make the story spiral further out of control. But Meghan going into hiding wasn't just about fear, it was strategy. She let the story breathe for a moment, let the public frenzy peak, and kept her team behind the scenes calculating every next move. The palace communications machine was working overtime, but even they knew the chaos was partly of their own making. Fergie had handed them a grenade, and everyone scrambled to pick up the pieces. By retreating from public view, Meghan transformed her absence into a statement. It was quiet, powerful, and terrifying to palace insiders.
Terrible, terrible thing to do to people who covered up for them. And they're so stupid because they don't realize that the royal family...
The whispers in the halls weren't just gossip. They were panic, speculation, and fear all rolled into one. For the public, the mystery made the story more delicious. For Harry, it was a reminder of the fragility of image and reputation within the monarchy. And for Fergie, it was the perfect storm. She sparked chaos, walked away with a smirk, and let Meghan and the palace deal with the fallout. Behind the gilded doors of Buckingham Palace, chaos reigned. Fergie's comment had thrown the entire royal communications team into overdrive. Every aide, advisor, and courtier was running scenarios, like their career depended on it, which in this case, it absolutely did. Phones were buzzing non-stop, meetings were convened on the fly, and senior royals debated how to respond without escalating the fire.
Who basically inserted Meghan Markle inside of the highest society here in Toronto, in Canada, literally. Why? And then she worked her way all over the place. She spent most of her time in New York. And Andrew...
Silence was the official stance, but behind closed doors, panic was the reality. The PR team scrambled to distance the palace from the rumor, crafting no-comment responses while attempting to subtly redirect attention to charity events, public appearances, and royal traditions. Every journalist inquiry, social media post, and tabloid headline was monitored with military precision. Yet Fergie had already set the narrative, and the palace was playing catch-up. They were trying to contain a story that had already gone viral, and every attempt at control felt like trying to hold water in your hands. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan had to manage their own response. Meghan remained mostly unseen, letting silence speak, while Harry reportedly struggled to maintain composure publicly. The rumor, though unconfirmed, threatened to tarnish reputations, destabilize alliances, and reignite controversies connected to Andrew's infamous social circle.
Witness, and she said it was exactly because Meghan Markle was a close past associate of Prince Andrew and would have seen...
For the palace, it wasn't just a PR headache. It was a potential threat to the monarchy's image. Fergie's role in all this was fascinating. She didn't need to comment further. The initial spark had done the work. She understood timing, leverage, and the royal obsession with appearances. One phrase, casually dropped, had sent the palace into frenzy, and all she had to do was watch as the media, the public, and the royals scrambled to contain the fallout. The palace's golden rule, never explain, never complain, was cracking under the pressure of one duchess, one smirk, and one comment that refused to die. By the end of the week, the palace had learned a crucial lesson. In the royal family, chaos often comes from within, and no amount of protocol can fully contain it. Fergie had reminded them in the most savage way that control is always an illusion. Harry was reportedly blindsided by the scandal. He had entered the public eye expecting scrutiny, criticism, and tabloid attention, but never this. Fergie's comment about Meghan being Andrew's first client wasn't just gossip. It was a personal attack disguised as casual conversation. Harry's fury was mixed with helplessness. Any reaction could backfire, so he had to balance emotion with strategy.
Whatever he was doing, why isn't the press calling this out? I'm asking you, because it's no coincidence. Virginia drew...
Behind closed doors, sources say Harry's trust felt shaken. Fergie wasn't an outsider. She was family, and her words had ignited a storm that could damage Meghan's reputation, his marriage, and his public image simultaneously. Harry reportedly spent hours on calls with aides, legal advisors, and PR strategists, trying to figure out the best way forward. Any move had to be calculated because the palace and the world was watching. Meanwhile, the public fascination only grew. Every subtle appearance by Harry and Meghan was scrutinized. Analysts and gossip columnists speculated endlessly, drawing connections, theorizing scenarios, and keeping the story alive. Harry, for the first time in his life, had to watch helplessly as history, rumor, and perception collided in real time. The stress was compounded by the fact that Meghan's silence made the scandal even juicier. Every absence, every canceled appearance, and every carefully curated public smile was dissected as evidence of guilt, strategy, or fear. Harry's frustration reportedly grew daily, and the palace's inability to contain the story only added fuel to the fire. Fergie had created chaos, and Harry had no choice but to respond with caution, strategy, and nerves of steel. As the rumor circulated, public fascination reached a fever pitch. Social media was ablaze with speculation, memes, and heated debates. Journalists, bloggers, and influencers dissected every detail of Meghan's life, from her Hollywood beginnings to alleged yacht parties, with relentless enthusiasm.
People say, why does Meghan Markle feel that she's the queen of the world, that she can do no wrong, that everything she does is right?
The phrase Meghan's yacht days became shorthand for scandal, ambition, and intrigue. Every public appearance was analyzed, every photo scrutinized. The rumor didn't just persist, it thrived. People debated motivations, timelines, and potential hidden agendas. Some sided with Meghan, others with Fergie, and others simply enjoyed the spectacle. For the public, it was irresistible, a real-life drama that combined royalty, Hollywood, and scandal in one story.
To infiltrate the most powerful family in the world, to be accepted by the most powerful family in the world.
The palace's attempts to contain the narrative only fed public curiosity. Silence became a signal that the story was more explosive than anyone could imagine. Every article, every broadcast, every online thread reinforced the narrative that Meghan's past was under a microscope, and Fergie had orchestrated it brilliantly. By now, Meghan Markle's alleged yacht days weren't just a rumor. They were a royal storm. The palace scrambled, Harry strategized, Meghan stayed hidden, and Fergie watched with that signature mischievous grin. One phrase, casually dropped, had managed to shake centuries of monarchy, Hollywood glamour, and media perception all at once. The fallout was massive. Legal teams prepared. PR teams hustled, and social media kept the fire alive. Harry's trust was tested, Meghan's reputation questioned, and the palace's control challenged. Fergie, meanwhile, had walked away, leaving chaos in her wake, a masterclass in calculated drama. Fergie had proven one thing. In the royal world, one well-timed comment could ignite a fire no amount of protocol could extinguish. And as the dust settled, the question remained, what other secrets might still be whispered behind palace walls?